I believe we are live, and if we're not, we will be shortly. What's going on, everybody? Friday, April 26th, monster slate. All 15 games. All 30 teams potentially play today. I think we're probably going to lose one or two to Mother Nature, but that's fine. 13's still enough. 8 is enough if you've ever watched that show. That's a terrible way to start this. Jake, welcome back to the strategy show, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's fun being back here, just like the good old days. Just me and you in the mornings. It was like our only show. Now
It was the flagship.
Yeah, we just never get off now. We just never get off screen.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good. I'm happy to have you back. Once this hockey season really tames out,
Yeah,
we'll get you back again.
nice.
Too much hockey going on, you know?
Yeah, too much actually good content going on, rather than this MLB garbage that we have to watch.
I could not agree more. All right, so we're gonna have a little rain. The Nats game. I don't see any real reason that would be a problem. Phillies game is a little more iffy. I expect that to play late start. Red Sox game, Mets game, looking pretty rough, but we'll go through it as if everything's happening. Just keep your eye on it. We'll have deeper dive later today. We'll have live before lock later today, so we can adjust accordingly as we get closer to lock. I don't need to speculate too much about weather 10 hours in advance.
Right.
As usual, MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first monthly package with us. Any package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. So now is the perfect time to sign up and get access to everything. NBA, NHL, MMA, golf, NASCAR. I'm probably missing something, but we have it. So come check it out. And shout out... Ooh, what did I miss? Tennis. There you go. Tennis. I knew I was missing something. Shout out to our sponsor, Yahoo Sports. I will drop the link in chat right now, but if you would like to sign up at Yahoo, please do it through this link. It is very beneficial to us. It doesn't change the experience for you whatsoever, and you can use the promo code AWESEMO and get $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. That does not stand for yesterday's star, Rick Porcello, even though I was hoping that it would. The gimmick didn't work.
No.
Coming up after this show, we will have the Awesemo Odds betting show with Jordan and Ben talking NBA playoffs, maybe a little NFL draft chatter, Kentucky Derby, Game of Thrones, all sorts of stuff going on coming up after this. Be around 11:30, and then at 12:30. Yahoo specific strategy show. We're going to walk through position by position, everybody for Yahoo today. Go over favorite plays at each position, build a couple lineups, get everybody set up for the Yahoo slate for today.
Very
but
good.
For now, we got a lot of games to talk about. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
First one up is a doozy from a pitching perspective. Max Scherzer on the hill. For the Nats, Matt Strahm going for the Padres. It's a 4.2 run implied total for the Nationals, 2.9 for the Padres, which is a 65% chance to win for Washington. Scherzer is $61 on Yahoo today, 12.3 on FanDuel, 10.4 on DK. He is the clear highest projected guy in my model. He crests 50 FanDuel points at 28.3 projected on DraftKings. He has a 65% chance of hitting 45 FanDuel points. That does not include the win or the quality start bonus. This looks fantastic. How do you feel about Scherzer?
Yeah, I was just surprised to see the price on him. And I was trying to figure out, is he hurt? I've been taking some days off of MLB when I've playing heavier NHL. Like, is there something we should be worried about with him as far as his DK price? Like, what's going on there?
Not to me. I'm not worried about it, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, I looked at his swinging strike numbers and his chase rate. It looks fine. I don't know, maybe the swinging strikes are down a little bit, but yeah, he's not a 10-4 pitcher. And the total against him is 3 or just under 3. Like, it's kind of hard to avoid. And then, I mean, same thing with Degrom, who we'll talk about in just a bit. Like, there's just some really clear underprices, and I'm just going to take advantage of that. Like, nothing's really holding me back from playing a bunch of Scherzer here. I'm expecting we see quite a big number, like 40, 45, 50% ownership when ownership comes out. But I don't know. Do you agree with that?
That might be a little high just for today's slate. The weather will change it. Like, if Degrom gets ruled out of the slate, that will make a difference.
Sure.
But I mean, Scherzer's been like a little hittable, but his most recent start, K9, no walks. Like, he's got a 44-5 strikeout to walk ratio. So, like, I don't know. He's not like hurt. I mean, he walked 3 on opening day. He hasn't walked more than 1 in a start yet. After that, he's got a 255 xFIP. Like, he's certainly not priced because of anything other than performance.
So they're saying he was hurt in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, he's not like hurt though.
I don't know.
I understand what YouTube is saying. He's not 10-4 because he's been like getting bludgeoned around and he's like his arms hanging off his side or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like he's really underpriced. Even if he isn't 100%, even if he's 85, 90%, right? He can still strike out 10 Padres here, I think.
I have him projected for 10.3 strikeouts. It's the first guy to crest 10 this year.
Let's see. I've got him. Okay, when I put him in for, how many innings do you have him in for?
7.
Okay, so I put him in at 6. I usually go a little bit lower, but I'll put him in at like 6 1/3. I've got him at 8.8 strikeouts.
He's averaged 6.7 or 6 2/3 innings per start over his last calendar year, if that helps you at all.
Yeah, that's crazy. So even if he's hurt, even accounting for if he's hurt, you take off a third or 2/3 of an inning, he still projects as the best pitcher on the slate for me.
Yeah, for me, it's not close, which is really crazy because if I wiped Scherzer off of this slate, I would say the same thing about Degrom because I wouldn't know that it goes that much higher. And then if I did the same thing and wiped off Degrom and Scherzer, I'd say the same thing about Paxton. These guys are on a completely different tier for me, and each one of them specifically is on like a bigger tier after that. It's nuts. I love Scherzer here.
So I kind of want to see what the crunches look like when we do that, if we do that at the end, if we've got time. Just to see like the lineups you can make, because I haven't crunched it. I don't know if you have.
I got 53% Scherzer on FanDuel.
And then what did you get for? Oh, okay. I was thinking more on the 2-pitcher sites.
I didn't run any DraftKings, but I can run that right now while we're talking.
Actually,
I will run it once ownership drops because that will change my caps.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just kind of stalling, waiting for ownership too before I start running stuff. But I just want to see like, can you go Scherzer, Degrom? Can you go Scherzer, Paxton, and get like quality lineups? Because I think you're gonna be able to, looking at some of these prices on titters.
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be much issue with doing that. Just looking at the prices on DK, I sort my hitting chart by price. Like there are plenty of low price stacks that can go along with it. That sure. I think that we'll get to, but we'll know the answer once we get to crunches. And everything will probably change once Degrom gets scratched. I really don't see that game with any sort of real chance of happening. And that's going to play a big role in making Paxton more chalky. And then finding out who that third guy is going to be will be really interesting. Each site is going to be a little dependent. Any interest in Matt Strahm here?
No, not really. Okay. I mean, Rendon and Zimmerman are both questionable, it looks like. And then Soto, I think you could play lefty. You can really play Soto against anyone. I'm sure you're high on Dozier too, right? So you probably like some Nats, right?
I don't really care too much about the Nats.
Okay.
I got a little bit of them on FanDuel in my crunch. Like Zimmerman grades out pretty well. Rendon, if he's in the lineup, grades out pretty well. Dozier always does, but I like him more when he's higher up in the order. But I'm not really getting to a ton here. They only have a 4.2 run implied total, so it's not as if they're expecting a huge offensive game. I think Strom is fine. He just doesn't go deep into games. Like he projects as like a roughly league average pitcher. So I don't have a ton of interest in Washington. It just doesn't seem to be that sort of game.
Okay.
What about you? Are you looking at the Nats?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell because I haven't crunched just yet, but I really like Rendon. I'm not in love with the price, but I think he's going to be pretty underowned with some of these expensive pitchers that people are going to pay up for. People aren't really going to be crazy about the 5K Rendon. So if you go with one of those guys and then find someone in the mid tier, maybe you can fit in a Nat stack. And then I love Zimmerman against lefties as well. And like I mentioned, you can play Soto against really whoever, any non-elite lefty, I think.
Any interest in the Padres bats?
Nope. 15-game slate. Do you?
Not really. They grade out kind of well because of pricing, but I got to like basically one Padres stack out of 150 lineups.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Like I'll probably have a couple mini stacks if I make 150, just because the way I run crunches is just basically play everyone and then chop it down to 150, like what you do, what Adam does. Yeah. So they might sneak in as a 2-man or 3-man possibly, but yeah, not crazy about the Padres.
No, I'm not really. So on a huge slate like this, stacks are going to rule the roost. Some team or two teams are going to have like very outlier performances that are going to be necessary. And to think that the Padres will be that today with the lowest implied total in a matchup against the best pitcher, I mean, you need something to go very, very specifically wrong.
Yeah.
It's easier to just get away from Scherzer than it is to want to also have the Padres.
Yeah, I think you're going to get enough leverage. If you don't think Scherzer is going to be awesome, I mean, yeah, take a Padres batter too, but I don't think you need to play like 10% Padres stacks.
We've got ownership.
We got ownership?
We do.
All right.
I'm excited.
Let's take a look.
What do we got? I'm not logged in. Come on, website. You know me.
I'm logged in. All right, so Scherzer, Degrom, both at the top, then Paxton. So we're right on it.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, I knew I would be right.
So I was just going to ask a general question. How many teams, if there's 30 teams in the slate, how many do you say you will 5-man or you will main stack?
I'm guessing have full max amount of player type stacks.
What do you mean?
Like on, how many teams would I have a 5-man stack of on DraftKings?
Yeah.
Is that basically where you're at? I don't know, 15 maybe.
Okay. Yeah, it's been something I've been thinking about more and more as I play. Like, do you just, because I stack everyone, but I don't end up with everyone. Like everyone ends up on the crunch at some point because I cap the stack so low.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably 15 to 20 somewhere in there.
I can give you that real answer as I run this crunch, because now that we have ownership, all of my like individual player exposures are set now.
Okay.
Highest exposure cap on the day is Max Scherzer at 99.
Shocking.
Yeah. Shockingly not shocking. All right, DraftKings. And I think we can move on from this game, right?
Yeah.
So Phillies and Marlins, 4.8 run implied total for the Phillies, 3.7 for the Marlins. It's a 63. God, I was getting my numbers flipped. 63% chance to win for the Phils. Jared Eichhoff going for Philadelphia. Jose Urena going for the Marlins. Eichhoff getting a little bit of ownership as like an SP2 option, right around 10% on the two pitcher sites. Doesn't really grade out as anything interesting to me. Obviously, the Marlins aren't very good, so that part is appealing. Is he a guy that you're looking at all?
He's a guy that I would at least consider if the weather was looking fine. I
don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I would like to play him at 10%. I think that would be a perfectly fine play against the Mets in Colorado. He's had two actually pretty good starts. Coming off an 8K game in Coors, the swinging strikes were 17% and just under 11 in his first couple of games. So I'm willing to take a shot at him if the weather turns around. I don't think it's going to matter. And I'm honestly, I'm not crazy about the Marlins bats anyways, outside of maybe Granderson leading off.
Yeah, I like Granderson quite a bit. I got to 21% of him on FanDuel. I actually got to a lot of Marlins. It's not going to matter ultimately, but got to Brian Anderson, got to Neil Walker, got to Starlin Castro. They're one of the teams that I am comfortable. Well, comfortable is not the right word. That I would potentially be paying down for with my heavy pay up for arms.
Yeah.
All right. DraftKings projections are in. Do Phillies bats stand out to you at all? Just want to hit it at least a little bit, but it's
really,
not going to matter.
really love Harper and Hoskins, not far behind. But yeah, those two guys I think would be super heavy targets, especially Harper. He'd be probably one of my highest exposed hitters on the night at 5K against Urena. But again, who knows if it's going to matter in a couple hours.
Bryce Harper is number 1 in my home run model today, in case that matters.
I think he should be. No Coors on the slate. Like that's about as good of a play as you're going to get.
Yeah. This one's going to be close. They're definitely starting late. There's no way this game starts at 7:00. We're probably looking at like 9 and change if they want to get it in. If they want to wait it out, it seems like they have that ability, but it's going to be a long one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a Saturday tomorrow, obviously, so they could just easily pull it and just doubleheader tomorrow.
Yep.
The game's at.
Yep, that's a great point. Moving on, got something fun to talk about here. Blue Jays and A's. 4.5 run implied total for the Blue Jays. 4 run implied total for the A's. 54% chance to win for Toronto. Marcus Stroman going for the Jays. Mike Fiers going for the A's. No one gives a poop about those two guys because Vlad Guerrero is here. And he's $18 on Yahoo, $32 on FanDuel, $4,300 on DraftKings. He's like one of my top 3 third base options of the day. How you feeling about Vlad? Or I guess let's start with the pitching. Any Stroman or Fiers for you?
I think I'm going to end up on probably some Stroman. I don't think I'm going to end up on Fiers here. I would assume the roof's going to be closed, right? I mean, it's got to be. There looks like there's going to be some rain, and it's 50 degrees or under 50 in Toronto. Yeah, I think Vlad's going to be popular. As soon as they announce him in the lineup, people will start to click him into their lineups, and that makes sense. It is a good matchup against Fiers, giving up a ton of fly balls like he always does, and hard contact outside of Oakland. So whenever Fiers is not in Oakland, I'm probably going to be stacking against him, and that's definitely going to be the case here with like Smoke and Vlad, obviously. Grichuk, I like against righties, and then Rowdy Tellis for 4,100 as well.
I'm sending Tom a message quick.
About Vlad?
Yeah.
How do you account for that?
What do you mean?
Like, this has been like the most anticipated debut for like 2 years. People have been calling for this guy to come up. So I would assume he's going to be chalkier than maybe even what the model says.
Yeah, I got 13% of him on FanDuel. I'm pretty happy about that number.
What does Steamer project him for?
A 142 ISO, 13% K rate, and a 142 weighted runs created plus, 13% K rate, 213 ISO.
Yeah, and they're usually really moderate with their projections.
He projects with. Do I have this sorted by weighted runs created plus? I don't.
That's outrageous.
Let's just say somewhere in the neighborhood of like a top 25 hitter.
Already. How old is he?
I have no idea.
23, 24?
I think that's high, but
oh, really?
I think he's younger than that.
Really?
I honestly don't know the answer. I'm looking at him now. He's 44. That's his dad.
He's 20.
Yeah. I thought he was like oddly young. Man, his dad's only 44. That shit is crazy.
That is kind of crazy.
I feel like his dad has to be like 60, but that wouldn't make sense.
Wow.
Why would Vlad Guerrero signed a 1-day contract with the Angels to retire in that organization? I mean, I guess he was there for a hot minute, but dude's an expo. Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
He just turned 20.
That's insane.
I'm pumped.
So he's 4,300. I mean, even if he's a top 50 hitter, this is, he should be chalky here. Like it's good chalk, I think.
He's going to get one-offed a lot.
Yeah, I'd rather just stack it up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got to him, Galvis, Grichuk projected for 30% ownership on FanDuel. I don't love the stack because I think Fires is okay-ish, but yeah, I'm happy to have them, and he grades out really well across all 3 sites.
Yeah.
Any A's stacks for you? I did not get to them. I think Stroman's good.
Yeah, he's a guy I rarely stack against. Just a really good real-life pitcher. Gets a good amount of ground balls.
Yeah.
And a lot of righty here. So I'd rather pass. Like I said, I'll probably end up on some Stroman at 7,600. I think that's an okay price.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's at 2% ownership on DK right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down for that for sure.
Yeah. He grades out fine. There's not really like a standout option from 8K down, so you can make a case for a lot of different guys.
Yeah.
Favorite A's bat?
I mean, probably Morales on DK just because he's 3,200.
Yeah.
And he's got the platoon, I guess. What about you?
Chris Davis, but
That's a good option.
That's a kind of a cop-out pick. I don't disagree with the Morales call. He grades out as probably the best guy across all 3 sites for me.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, yeah, Chris Davis is never really a wrong answer. And maybe even the other one. This guy's coming alive. Baltimore Chris Davis.
Love that dude. I just want him to be good.
Which one?
Chris Davis. Baltimore Chris Davis.
Yeah. I'm kind of rooting for him. Hit like 30 bombs this year. Everyone will forget.
Favorite Jays bat that isn't Vlad Guerrero Jr.?
I just realized Smoke and Tellis are both first basemen, so it makes the stack a little bit tough. You got to make that choice, but I think it's probably Tellis for me. 41.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Smoke a lot more than Tellis. Even at the price.
Yeah, that's okay.
If Tellis can get himself moved up in the order, I'd have a little bit more interest. I think that's probably it for Jays and A's. My DraftKings crunch still running? Got to run another 150 and we can dump it in there.
Sweet.
Got to get 300 in there and make sure we got a nice sample.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good sample.
Mets and Brewers. Again, I do not expect this game to happen, but we will talk about it like it would. 4.2 run implied total for the Mets, 3 run implied total for the Brewers. The 64% chance to win for the Mets. Jake Degrom going for New York. Chase Anderson going for Milwaukee. Degrom is my number 2 pitcher on this entire slate. He's ahead of Paxton for me. Both sites, don't mind. He looks great. It's a scary Brewers lineup because they have power, but there's still some swing and miss. And Degrom has really, really, really good stuff. So I would have a bunch of Jake Degrom if this one didn't get rained out.
Yep. Scarier spot than I think Scherzer gets. But just as much strikeout upside. Those two are maybe 2 of the top 3 pitchers in the MLB when they're fully healthy. Yeah, I mean, Brewers striking out 26% against righties this season. So boom bust spot, I suppose, but not often DeGrom gets blown up. And it's hard to talk about. I don't think it's going to play.
Rank the 3 Scherzer, DeGrom, Paxton for you on DraftKings.
Scherzer, Paxton, DeGrom.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you could put them in any order, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fine, based on their price.
I mean, obviously, ownership would probably tell a bit of a story here. Scherzer and DeGrom projected for the same ownership, essentially, on DraftKings. Paxton, like 15 to 20% less. So I think that the gap between DeGrom and Paxton isn't that huge. I would have no problem flip-flopping those guys, but it's not really going to matter.
Yep.
DeGrom ain't happening. If this game does happen, I'm not really enamored with either side from a bats perspective. Chase Anderson is good. Yeah, he's got good stuff, I guess. A little homer prone. I got to a little bit of Mets stacks, but nothing crazy. I didn't really get to the Brewers at all. Just doesn't feel like a game where I need to get hitting if it happens. Anybody stand out for you?
Let's see this projected lineup here. I'm trying to. Okay. Against Anderson, the guys I like are Nimmo and Cano and Conforto. So basically the three guys you play against righties. Has Chase Anderson still been big reverse splits, or has he kind of corrected that like Odorizzi has?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay, I thought you had it pulled up. He's basically a very powerful Williams Astudillo. Talking about Vlad, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, like, calling him like the millionaire version of Astudillo is probably a decent comp.
Yeah.
I'm just filtering these lineups right now, and I should be able to import them. 300 lineups crunched in DraftKings. Let's check what we got. Export. Crunch DK. I'm anxious to see how this shakes out.
Astudillo has 80 grade power and walked.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's super true.
People really, really care about Vlad coming up.
Well, yeah, if his name was Chris Johnson, no one would give a shit.
Right.
But because his dad is one of like the more fun people in baseball over the past 30 years, like there was never anybody that was like, man, I don't like that Vlad Guerrero guy. It was always just like, dude, he swung the bat like he was going to swing out of his shoes, crushed everything, and had an absolute laser in right. Like everybody loved that dude. So the fact, like, man, if his kid comes up, he's going to be like, he could quote unquote save baseball. People will care about him. Well, if he does like dope shit.
Yeah, exactly. If he doesn't get thrown at when he pimps a home run.
Yeah, and he should pimp a home run every time.
They all should.
I agree.
Can't
85% Scherzer, 63% Degrom, 45% Paxton, 193% of my pitching exposure. Nobody else more than 2%.
Out of 200%, 193 goes to those three?
Yep.
Well then.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the recipe. There's 150 lineups. Just cap all of them at like 80 and let it run.
Maybe. Nobody else projected for more than 18%. I don't expect to end up in this sort of like obviously I'm going to have to reappropriate 30% of my pitching exposure just because of Degrom. So this will not look that way, but yeah, that's just first sort. That's aggressive, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can move on. We don't need to talk too much about games that aren't happening.
Yep.
Red Sox and Rays. 4.4 run implied total for the Red Sox, 3.7 for the Rays, 58% chance to win for Boston. I don't know. Has Boston named their starter yet? I had Marcus Walden as like a relief pitcher type dude going. I don't know if anything has changed though.
So yeah, that's the guy that Fangraphs has. Depending on where you look, it's different. They haven't technically announced the starter, but if it is Walden, he just pitched 3 days ago, 2/3 of an inning. So I think at most you're looking at a couple innings.
Yeah, he's completely unplayable in fantasy.
Yep.
Well, he's 4K, so I guess we would at least need to talk about how long we think he can go, which is not long enough to want to play him at 4K.
This game also very decent chances of happening.
Very true. This one looks a little rugged, and it gets worse throughout the night, not better. So probably doesn't really matter how much or who starts for the Red Sox. On a different day, I might have like mild interest in Charlie Morton, but I don't today, both from a weather perspective and the fact that, well, there are way better pitchers on the slate, and he's got the Red Sox.
Yeah. So I mean, that price stands out to me for Morton.
Yeah.
But it's just a really, really, really tough matchup. I think he's striking out both righties and lefties at a 30% clip this year. He's a guy who does have these 18, 20% swinging strike rate games in him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had a good game here. I would be surprised if he had 10 Ks here. So I don't know. There's just a lot of good hitters, righties and lefties here. So I think I'm probably going to pass on Morton. It's just too tough of a matchup.
Same page. I didn't get to Red Sox bats on FanDuel or DK on my crunch, even like assuming that there's no weather issues. I barely got to any Rays, essentially just Brandon Lau on FanDuel. Do you like bats here?
I mean, Mookie at 4,700 stands out, and JD, both guys under 5K. I don't really understand that. I know Tampa's got a good bullpen, though, so it's not a perfect matchup for the Red Sox hitters anyways, and the weather, and yeah, it's just I'm kind of hoping this one gets rained out so I don't have to deal with it.
You and me both. Braves and Rockies. 4.8 run implied total for the Braves, 3.7 for the Rockies. 61% chance to win for Atlanta. Max Fried going for the Braves. Antonio Senzatella going for Colorado. Fried $36 on Yahoo, $86 on $8,600 on FanDuel, $8K on DraftKings. He's got an okay price. $8K is not bad if you need to pay down. He's got a really nice curveball. He's clearly down the line in terms of starters today, but I don't have much of an issue if you wanted to use Fried as an SP2. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, I wanted to like him when I was looking at some of his numbers last night. I'm trying to find out. Yeah, the Rockies have been pretty bad against lefties as well this season. Almost a 28% K rate, a 54 WRC plus in 331 plate appearances, 151 ISO. Yeah, they've been really, really bad, which is shocking to me just because even if you do have Arenado and Story in your lineup against lefties, you're usually going to be okay on the whole, but they just haven't. And I thought Fried was a guy who missed a lot more bats with that curveball, but he really hasn't this season. So I guess I'm sort of indifferent to Fried right now. If he ends up in 10 or 15% of my lineups, I'd be okay with it. But kind of like you, it's just a whatever play for me.
Any Senzatella?
No.
Agreed. Ooh, Tom just put out updated ownership. We've got Vlad in there.
10%.
Yep.
That number will go up, I'm assuming, once they update later in the day. More talk about him.
And as we start losing other games.
Yep.
I knew seeing it that he would need to be in there, or we're just going to catch message after message being like, Joe, what the fuck, Guerrero? That would happen for sure. So 16% on DraftKings. So right around what I got, actually. All right. Updated ownership is in. Did you get to any Braves or Rockies stacks? Because I don't have anything here.
I almost always look to stack the Braves. And looking at these prices, Freeman at 4,700, Donaldson 45, Alves 45. I like those prices for all those guys. Senzatella isn't a guy that misses a ton of bats either. And then the Braves don't really strike out. So the Braves are kind of my team, not really yours. Seems like I'm always on them and you're not, but I'm definitely on them here. A little bit of wind blowing out too in Atlanta and 70 degrees. That's about as good of hitting weather as we have tonight outside of maybe Houston if they keep their roof open, or Arizona, but they're probably going to close theirs.
Yeah, I think Donaldson grades out as my best Braves bat, but I did not get to anything really in this game. The most exposure I have to anyone is Trevor Story at 4%.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't really have any good Braves or Rockies takes. I honestly assume that I would get more Atlanta, especially with the way the lineup runs. Second base, third base, first base. They're really easy, and then Acuna. So they're really easy to get to. That'll be something I'll look at a little bit more to see if I can prioritize bats just slightly more and see what the impact is to my pitching exposures.
Yeah. I'm going to get a lot of Arenado one-offs. It's looking like, and I will get some Story. So 5-2-1, I'll end up with some Story Arenado 2-mans, but I don't think I'm going crazy with the Rocky stack here.
Yeah, I like Story. Blackman, I think, looks good in the leadoff spot on any one of the sites. And I never really have an issue with getting Arenado. I never have any issue with really any high-end hitter that plays a non-outfield position.
Yeah. Is Arenado, you think he's going to be like 5% owned? If he's 5% owned against a lefty, I'm all about that. I'll have 15, 20, something around there.
I don't blame you at all there. Pretty much the same explanation for Trevor Story, I think.
Yep.
Alrighty. Astros and Indians. The Bauer-Cole matchup yesterday kind of fizzled. They were both good, but like not like fantasy good.
Yeah.
4.2 run implied total for the Stros, 3.8 for the Indians. It's a 56% chance to win for the Astros. Colin McHugh going for Houston. Corey Kluber going for Cleveland. Man, I didn't expect today, like, I didn't expect Corey Kluber to be going, and it's just like, But yet, here we are. I did not get any Corey Kluber on FanDuel or DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the matchup's too tough. I think Houston is just a team I don't want to mess with. They're in the like Atlanta category for me, where there's a few teams are, even though the platoon split looks fine, like Kluber's going to get a bunch of righties or whatever, you could talk yourself into $8,900 Kluber, and I might end up with a few percent. But where's he at for ownership on DK right now?
1.
Oh wow! I mean, if he's at 1%, okay. He just wasn't a guy that jumped out to me. I don't know if you're using like 2016, 2017 data, you're probably going to get a ton of him, even though it is a tough matchup. But yeah, I just would rather not mess with Houston. They're just really, really, really good hitters all over the place.
And they don't strike out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much interest in Kluber. I would guess his ownership will go up to like 3 or 4% once Degrom gets cycled out. I don't have any interest in Colin McHugh here. I do have interest in Indians bats. Lindor, Ramirez, Cargo in particular. How do you feel about the Indians?
I don't really like targeting against McHugh. So I'll have Ramirez just because I really, really like Ramirez and maybe some Lindor. But yeah, McHugh's not really a guy that I love targeting against. Has he had issues with lefty power this season?
That's the type of thing that you would know.
Let's see.
It's the type of thing that I would never know.
McHugh.
That's why I do these shows, man. I wait for you and Adam to tell me that kind of stuff.
He's actually been really good against lefties. 41% fly ball rate. That's fine. 302 on base percentage, 31.7% hard contact, 28% K rate. So that's actually a lot better than I expected against lefties. So yeah, Ramirez is probably going to be the only guy that I get a decent amount of.
Yeah, Indians are 2% aggregate exposure on DK. I got to 8 just because of Lindor, Ramirez, Roberto Perez, which doesn't make me happy, but that's what happens when you get stacks. I like the Indians a little bit here. Didn't get to any Astros.
I'll get some Astros. They're looking at their ownerships here, like 2%, 3% across the board.
Yeah.
For Altuve, Springer, Bregman, Brantley, Correa, Gurriel. I'm definitely interested in that. They're one of those teams, like I said, they're teams I don't like to take pitchers against. Houston's one of them, Atlanta. And when they're going to be this low owned on a 15-game slate, if you can get 5 or 8% of Houston stacks, that's a really, really good edge for a team that can really hit against anyone.
Very good point. When in doubt, bet on talent.
They're gonna come up though. Like once these games start to get eliminated, if Degrom gets eliminated from the slate, not all that ownership is going to go to Scherzer. People are just going to spend up for bats when you see a 60% owned Scherzer.
Yeah, for sure. Twins and Orioles. 5.3 run implied total for the Twins, 3.8 for the Orioles. It's a 64% chance to win for Minnesota. Martin Perez going for the Twins. Alex Cobb going for the Orioles. How do you feel about this new look Martin Perez?
Yeah, I gave him a low projected innings. I just gave him 5 I don't know. What did you give him?
Because 5 1/3.
Pretty well for me.
I gave him 5 1/3. Yeah.
So if I give him 5 1/3, then yeah, he's going to be in the teens or so as far as just overall raw point projection. But yeah, I've got no issue with Perez. He's 6,800, I believe. He was a guy that I was looking at. I was interested to hear your take on him, or if he was coming up for you, because he is a big home favorite here. You would think he would have some run support. He can give up a couple of runs here. It's a lot of righties, but all of a sudden he's pumping out a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
That seems a little bit shady to me. I always thought of him as like a soft tosser before this season, and I guess that's just not the case anymore. Am I wrong about that?
I mean, he was never like a soft tosser.
Like a guy that would he was more like deceptive, and his games he would go like 7 innings some games with like 1 strikeout and just a ton of ground balls and ground ball double plays and stuff like that.
I mean, he was like a mid-90s fastball guy.
I don't ever remember him like that. But
I remember him differently because he used to be in the Braves minor league system, and then he got traded for Teixeira, maybe?
That's a name.
That sounds right to me. I think it was the Teixeira trade. But no, like he slung some gas, or like, gas for back in the day. I mean, lowest average fastball velocity he's had in his career, 92.1 in 2014. And he was like broken there for a stretch. So he's usually average velocity in like the 93. So dialing it up 95, 96.
That seems crazy to just all of a sudden go from 95, 96. How many years has he been in the majors?
2012.
Okay. So he's younger than I thought.
Yeah.
The Orioles versus Lefties this season, 321 plate appearances, 25% K rate, 84 WRC plus, 147 ISO. So nothing you're really worried about on that front from a team perspective. And he is getting some swings and misses. 140th in whiffs per swing rate this season for pitchers with over 100 pitches thrown. So it's not like he's been missing a ton of bats, but even if he can get you 4 or 5 strikeouts here, you're going to be in good shape for a win, it's looking like.
I'm not thinking of Martin Perez the correct way. I was thinking of Neftali Feliz. The Teixeira trade had Feliz in it. Elvis Andrus.
Oh, okay.
I don't expect to get to Perez. I would have to really juice his projection. And even if I got him up to like an 8K per 9 range, he would still just grade out as similar to other teams that are around, even with this bad Orioles team on the opposite side. I did get to a ton of Twins on FanDuel. 8% aggregate ownership right now for the Twins. I got 16. They are my highest exposed team of the slate. They have the highest run total. They have a matchup with Alex Cobb. I got a lot of Max Kepler, a ton of Nelson Cruz, CJ Cron, Marwin Gonzalez, Jonathan Scope. I really, really, really like the Twins on FanDuel. Not so much on DraftKings, although I don't have a huge issue. You feeling any Twins?
Yeah, I think they have to be in contention for the top stack of the night. They have the highest run total, but that doesn't always line up as everyone's favorite stack. I would assume they're going to get a good amount of ownership here. I've got them at 44% total ownership on DK. As far as stack ownership, they are...
I'm trying to beat you to it.
5.6%. So that's not even crazy for a 5.6 run total.
No, they are 7th.
Yeah.
But the highest is the Marlins at 8%.
Yeah. So it's going to get changed around, obviously. But even if they're not clear chalk, I think they might be my favorite stack, even on DK. Like, I don't have a problem paying $5,300 for Rosario. I think he's a really, really, really good hitter. Same thing with Cruz, righty. But it looks like he's going to be popular, as he should be. Kepler leading off, I also think he's a good hitter. I just think the Twins have a sneaky, really good team. This lineup is completely revamped. All these new faces, Cruz, Gonzalez, Scope. They're deep. Cron, I don't know. It seems like they should light up Cobb here. And it's decent weather here in sunny Minneapolis, 60 degrees, a little bit of wind blowing out, already a decent hitter's park as well.
Yeah, I love these dudes today. They're really expensive on Yahoo, but I'll touch on that in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Get me some Twins on FanDuel. I have a little bit of interest in the top of the Orioles lineup, but nothing crazy here. I'll just have some exposure.
Mancini?
VR.
Okay. I don't have an issue with that.
Oh, wow. VR's 4,800 on DraftKings. That's crazy. He's only 3,400 on FanDuel. So
Yeah, they're kind of expensive on DK.
Yeah.
At least 2, 3, 4. VR, Mancini, Nunez, 48, 48, and 47. And they're getting ownership too. I mean, VR a little bit, I guess. Maybe not the other guys.
5% for VR, 2% aggregate on the
Oh,
Orioles.
you're right. I was looking at the Twins bats there. Yep.
I think that's probably favorite Twins bat.
The guy I have projected the highest is Rosario, just slightly above Cruz by like 0.03 points.
He is third for me behind Cruz and Kepler.
Yeah.
All righty. I'm really anxious to get your take here because I like this guy, but he's getting some ownership. White Sox, 4.5 run implied total. Tigers, 4.1. It's a 55% chance to win for the White Sox. Carlos Rodon going for Chicago. Daniel Norris going for the Tigers. Rodon getting 11% ownership on Yahoo. 5 on FanDuel. 19 on DK. I thought that he might slip through the cracks a little bit with all of the talent at the top, but he is actually the chalkiest guy that isn't named Scherzer, Degrom, Paxton. I like him. He grades out really well for me. He is my 4th ranked pitcher on DraftKings, dollar for dollar. So I like him a lot. How do you feel about Rodon against the Tigers?
I don't have an issue with Rodon at all. He's a guy who can handle righties really well. In fact, you could argue better than lefties. So I've got him actually being pretty much better against righties than lefties, it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. He's going to project as one of the better values, I think, for me on the slate, especially if DeGrom gets kicked out or there's issues with Scherzer. So his ownership's going to probably come up on DK. And there's just not a lot I'm super worried about on the Tigers side. So there's Candelario, maybe Cabrera, and then Castellanos, obviously. So those top 3 might be tough, but the bottom of this lineup, there are strikeouts. And Rodon's just been really solid this entire season. So above average swinging strike rate, above average chase rate. I just don't really see anything holding me back from playing him here.
I agree with you. Grades out really well. I have a ton of Tigers. A ton.
I mean, if Rodon's going to be chalky, there's like Castellanos is a really, really good hitter against lefties, especially.
Yeah, I am triple the field on DK and 2.5 times the field on FanDuel. I think they're my number 2 stack. Lots of Candelario, Castellanos, Cabrera. Candelario is fantastic against left-handed pitching. I've been beating that drum for a couple days now. I got to everybody on FanDuel except for my boy Grayson, and on DraftKings I got him quite a bit as a catching option. I'm going to have a lot of Tigers here to be against the Rodon ownership, even though I think that he's my 4th favorite pitcher. I'm really curious to see how this shakes out when we start dropping some of these games and where the ownership goes.
Yeah, because of DK's dynamic pricing, you're going to see Castellanos be owned. You're going to see Cabrera be owned, and probably Candelario, maybe even Goodrum, as Rodon becomes more chalky. So it makes sense. They're super cheap. So there's going to be value on one side of this, you would think.
All righty. Do you have any interest in White Sox bats against Daniel Norris?
Abreu, I really like. Norris is kind of grading out okay for me. And what do you have him at for Ks per 9?
Like 7.8 in, and I have him throwing 4.5 innings.
Yeah, so I project him for 4 1/3. I think his K per 9 rate is a little bit high, and maybe that's because he was pitching in relief. So I got to lower that, but he's grading out actually okay for me. Not as good as Rodon, but yeah, I'm just not super pumped about these White Sox bats. The only guy that is popping for me is Abreu.
Yeah, Abreu pops for me like crazy just about every day. He's my favorite White Sox bat for sure. Don't really have anybody else that's standing out. Feel free to ignore Yoan Moncada today.
Jimenez actually grades out usually really well in Alex's projections.
I got 7% of him.
Yeah. So you weigh Alex's on the site, right?
What?
Or no? Do you weigh his? Do you aggregate yours and his
I do
together?
not.
Oh, okay.
These are just me.
Because when I do it, I rely more on his, so I get a lot of Eloy Jimenez. Always.
He's really good. He projects as the second best hitter on the White Sox.
Nice.
Moving on. Seems like a perfect time for everybody to hit the like button because that helps us. Seems like the perfect time for everybody to subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified when we go live. We have 4 more shows today. So find out when they're happening as soon as they start. You can't beat it. The whole schedule's up there.
4 more shows. Do you want to give them
5 more shows? 5 more shows.
Yeah.
I didn't include the hockey show.
Yeah, 2-game hockey slate. We never stops.
Yeah. Yeah, Awesome Odds betting show after this, Yahoo specific DFS strategy show, NHL show, deeper dive, live before lock. We got tons of content. Fridays are big for us.
They really are.
Cardinals and Reds. 4.6 run implied total for the Cardinals, 3.8 for the Reds. 58% chance to win for the Cards. Miles Michaelis going for St. Louis. Anthony Desclafani going for Cincinnati. I actually like Desclafani a little bit here. More so than I like Michaelis, I guess. But let me be clear here. I got to neither guy.
Yeah. Even when I give Michaelis an extra third or 2/3 of an inning, he just never really grades out that well for me. Better real life guy than DFS guy because he doesn't get a lot of swings and misses.
Yeah.
I've got him being really solid against righties, and I don't usually target a ton against him. I don't think that's going to be the case here either. So this one, I'd be more interested in taking like Carpenter and maybe Cardinals stacking here rather than playing a bunch of Reds bats.
We're on opposite sides here. I did not get to anything from the Cardinals outside of like a one-off Matt Carpenter because he's just always underpriced and it's stupid. I got to a little bit of Reds, more so than the field. But like basically like 8-ish% on everybody. So I like to, they've got some solid lefties. Votto, Jesse Winker, Derek Dietrich. Puig's monster power. Not particularly great against right-handed pitching, but there's enough here. And they are so cheap on FanDuel. It's insane. Votto is 3,300 leading off. It's just... What happens when a guy that doesn't strike out and walks a ton faces a guy that doesn't walk people?
Yeah.
Interesting matchup between Votto and Michaelis.
I
like a little bit of the Reds. I don't like that Suarez guy, though. He's got bad fans.
Yeah, what a terrible hitter this guy is. Just dongs every time he faces a lefty. I would hate to play him in DFS. I actually have Winker being okay, so kind of misspoke and said I wasn't going to play Reds, but I think I will get a little bit of Winker. He just, for whatever reason, he always grades out well for me. It's probably because he's got a high hard contact against righties or something. What was I going to say? Oh, the Cardinals. Against righties this season, second highest on base percentage, second highest WRC plus. They're 8th in ISO. You wouldn't think of them as like a great team against righties, and they look overpriced on DK when you factor in $5,100 Goldschmidt, $5K DeJong, and $5,100 Ozuna. But not a ton of strikeouts in this lineup. Desclafani isn't a huge strikeout pitcher. I know he can against righties, but yeah, I kind of like how the Cardinals are overpriced on DK. I think it's going to make for a pretty low-owned stack outside of Carpenter, who's at 14%.
They refuse to move his price. It's like they accidentally locked him or something. He's always so cheap. He's 3,300 on FanDuel.
It just doesn't make sense. Like
he's so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like he's been bad either.
No.
Like it's not like he's in a big slump. Like they're Chris Davising him. He is striking out more than you'd like to see, but
that's
still,
the least of my worries.
Desclafani has real issues against lefties.
Yeah. Favorite bat in this entire game?
Carpenter.
I'll take Goldie. Carpenter comes second, but
So you like Goldie, but you don't like. So you like Goldie and Carpenter, 1-2, but no Cardinals for you?
no.
Wow. All right, I think you'll be on Cardinals by the time we get to lock.
I can almost guarantee that I won't. Cardinals are overall from a value perspective, they are 23rd for me on FanDuel and 19th on DK. And if Desclafani doesn't get any ownership, they're just not going to show up.
They're going to show up for me when I adjust the projections based on ownership.
They're going to show up for you once you boost the Cardinals.
No. They're going to show up organically.
Okay.
With how I run lineups. Because you're going to be able to do like Scherzer with, I don't even know, pick your favorite, like Perez with Cardinals. Like it's not going to be that difficult. You're going to get a lot of differentiation and still good projections.
2, 3, 4, 5 games to go.
We're flying through it.
We are flying through it. I mean, we've been going for an hour, so I mean, it's still going to be 90 minutes.
Flying through it.
But it is moving pretty good. It's better than me and Laffy doing a 5-game slate in 2 hours. Royals and Angels. 4.1 run implied total for the Royals, 4.4 for the Angels. 54% chance to win for the Angels. Danny Duffy going for KC. Tyler Skaggs going for LA. On a different day, I'd have like mild interest in Skaggs. Royals strike out a ton, aren't very good in my opinion. So Skaggs stands out, but on a day with, let's just say 25 other pitchers, he is just a guy in a sea of guys priced from like 6,500 to 8K.
Really? I kind of like both of these guys from a raw point perspective. I just don't know how deep Duffy can go. Do you know off the top of your head?
I gave him 5 2/3.
Wow. Okay.
He's made 23 starts in the last calendar year, went 129 and a third innings in those starts, which is 5.6 innings per game start.
Okay. He's coming off an injury though, correct? Like this is his first start of the season.
Sounds right to me. I forget what was wrong with him though. Shoulder.
Oh, okay. So on 420, he went 5 1/3. Yeah. 74 pitches on 420 in the minors. So yeah,
That explains a lot to me.
What's that?
That explains why I didn't know that he had started working his way back yet.
Yep.
I certainly wasn't going to know on 420, and I didn't play on that Saturday, so like I really had no reason to know anything about him. But caught me on a holiday.
Yeah. So I mean, even if I give him 5 innings, he's going to be one of the better values. I've got no problem with Duffy here, because who are you worried about with Duffy outside of Trout, obviously? But if you can just maneuver around Trout or give up a solo shot, I don't get the 4.7 run total against him.
I don't have 4.7. I have 4.4.
He's at 4.7 where I'm looking at. But
let me take a look and see if the line's moved at all. We've got 8.9 for a total. Yeah, I can bump that up. And let's see if the actual game line is moved.
He was missing bats in his first. It was a double-A rehab start.
120.
So take that for what you will, but
4.6, 4.3 is what I have now.
Okay.
I mean, this Angels team just does not strike out.
Looking at it, Andrelton's tough. Obviously, Trout, Fletcher, bottom of the lineup. If it's Goodwin, Lucroy, Calhoun, and Kevin Smith.
Lucroy doesn't really strike out, though.
I got him at 20% since the start of 2018 against lefties.
Okay. That's still below average.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you can't strike him out, though.
Oh, no. He's not like Andrelton Simmons or Astudillo or something. Guys that like legit don't strike out.
Right. So I like me some Duffy. And then Skaggs, same thing. I mean, yeah, the Angels might not strike out, but the Royals sure do, especially versus lefties. what did you project Skaggs for? I got him in for 5 right now, and he's at 15 DK points.
Gave him 5 1/3, 15 DK points on the dot.
Nice. Yeah, I really like Skaggs here as well. So just taking 2 pitchers in one of the higher total games of the night, I guess, is my MO here.
So I think Skaggs looks a lot like Marco Gonzalez for me last night, in that I think they're fine. If the slate was slightly different, I would probably get to more. But there are so many guys. Yesterday isn't like so many, but it was just concentrated at the top, where he needs like a very specific outcome to be what I would consider worth it. Because I think that there's just too much other talent. Like, if you had to guess, I mean, what do you think the odds were that Marco? Did I say Marco Estrada before and not Gonzalez? Whatever it was, I meant Marco Gonzalez.
I think you said it right.
Like, the odds of Marco Gonzalez being the highest scoring pitcher yesterday had to be so minimal.
Yeah.
Like, to think that he would go ahead of Nola and Bauer and Cole and somebody else that I'm missing off the top of my head. And that's where I feel like Skaggs is. If he does something that is really like slate breaking, I just can't imagine prioritizing him too much over some of these other arms. He's good. I just I'm with the public here. 1% ownership seems right on point.
Okay. I mean, if he's 1%, then he's one of those guys where you don't need 30. You can get 10%, and that's probably what it's going to be for me, 10 or 20%, somewhere in there, depending on where his ownership falls.
Like, I see him and Max Fried and Kyle Hendricks and Michaelis and Desclafani and Chase Anderson. Like, these are all just the same guy at different price points. I'm happy to use any one of them if that's the second piece that like fits in with whatever stack and number 1 starter I got. I just can't pick out of that hat because I think they're all the same.
Yeah.
Bats in this game?
Yeah, I was going to say, while I do think I'm going to play some Skaggs for sure, Soler and Merrifield, I think, are both very awesome plays. And then Mondesi, you can basically play against whoever. But yeah, there is definitely some stackability to this Royals lineup if you're not on the Skaggs train with me. Or even if you are, if you want to play both sides of it, I'm certainly going to play both.
I have some Angels. I don't really have any Royals. Most I have of a Royal is 3% Soler on DK. I got to a little bit of Fletcher, Trout, Pujols, Simmons on FanDuel and DK. Nothing crazy, 8-9%. I don't find this game to be terribly interesting.
It's a 9 total, and I mean, there should be value somewhere in this game. Low-priced pitchers, a bunch of low-priced hitters, respectable totals on each side. I don't know. Maybe not on DK for some of these Royals bats. They're not super low-priced.
Yeah, $4,900 Merrifield.
Soler,
$4,900 Mondesi. Mondesi grades out as my best hitter on the Royals. I mean, Trout obviously on the Angels, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, I get 30% Trout every night, no matter what.
I've got 9 right now.
I mean, maybe not on a 15-game slate, but
I hear you.
when we're getting all these 7, 8, 9-game slates, he's literally a top 3-owned hitter for me every time, just because he fits.
Alrighty, moving on. Diamondbacks and Cubs. 4.5 run implied total for the D-backs, 4.4 for the Cubs, 51% chance to win for the Diamondbacks. Robby Ray going for Arizona. Kyle Hendricks going for Chicago. Robby Ray, $35 on Yahoo looks really nice. I would. This is another slate where I think Robby Ray looks like a nice option on FanDuel, where he's only the 12th most expensive pitcher. I think that he has higher upside than 12th. But again, there's just so many quality arms that seeing who we lose from weather will tell a big story. On DraftKings, where Ray is the 4th most expensive pitcher, I like him, but it's much less appealing.
Yeah, I think once we get word on whether or not the D-backs are closing the roof or not, that's going to definitely determine what I do here. Because right now, if they keep it open and it's 95 degrees, there's no humidor, that's gonna have any effect. And then I'd probably be more interested in the Cubs bats just because they look pretty cheap outside of Baez. But yeah, if Ray's gonna stick to 5% ownership or whatever right now, and Paxton and Degrom if he plays, and then Scherzer, if those guys are gonna be 30+% owned, then yeah, I'm definitely gonna get overweight on Robby Ray. It's just too much strikeout upside to be in that same price range as those guys and be a tenth of the ownership.
Yeah. Ray has my 4th highest strikeout projection for the day.
Yeah. He's
got great stuff. High risk, high reward on Ray today.
Yep.
And I assume you have no interest in Kyle Hendricks.
What'd you say? No interest in Kyle Hendricks?
I assume you don't.
Not if the roof is open, and if it's closed, he'll probably get ownership, and I just never really there with him.
Yeah. I feel the same way. As for bats, I got a little bit of exposure to the Cubs. Almora, Bryant, mostly the righties, but not a game that I need to have a ton of, and I don't like the D-backs at all.
Yeah, I think maybe you just kind of stack it or don't take one-offs against Ray. Like you play Bryant, Baez, Rizzo, Contreras. Like when Ray's bad, he's giving up a lot of quality hits, and there are some nice values. Almora, if he leads off, Chris Bryant at 4K, just like seemingly lost his power. I don't know what's going on with him. He hasn't donged since. Does he have a home run this year?
I have no idea.
I don't see it in his recent game logs.
Yeah,
so
no clue.
Yeah, well, that'd be pretty crazy if he doesn't. But he's getting 24% ownership. That's kind of wild. But
did any of my guys hit a dong last night? Nobody said anything to me, so I assume they didn't. Who did I have? Who did Chris take? Chris took JD, so I took Mitch Moreland. Who hit dongs for? Oh yeah, Chavez. That's it. Yeah, of course. Ugh, annoying. When are you gonna get on the board?
Maybe tonight. Probably not though.
Yeah, I might have to stop by chat tonight and troll you. Favorite bat in this entire game?
David Peralta.
Okay.
Where you at?
Probably Bryant.
Yeah, I mean that's where the ownership's at. It makes sense.
More of a cash play.
Does he actually not have a home run this season, or is this a typo?
No idea. I couldn't tell you basically anything.
He's got
like that.
He's got 1 home run. Jeez.
Dodgers and Pirates. Ugh. Gotta talk about this Muncy character. 4.3 run implied total for the Dodgers, 3.2 for the Pirates. 62% chance to win for the Dodgers. Hyunjin Ryu going for LA. Chris Archer going for Pittsburgh. Ryu getting 12% ownership on DraftKings. Just 1% to Chris Archer. I prefer Ryu to Archer here, but I'd love to get your thoughts. What do you like from a pitching perspective here?
Yeah, I don't like Archer at all. I agree. I like Ryu quite a bit actually. On DK, he's just priced at 8,200. So, when he's up near 9 and 10K, you kind of need him to not get pulled. You need him to go 5 or at least 6. Basically, here you don't necessarily need that, and just a lot of below average hitters versus lefties that I'm seeing in this Pirates lineup. So I've got really no interest in Pirates bats outside of maybe Cervelli for a catcher, but I have no problem with Ryu here, especially against all these righties. He's really, really good against right-handed bats. And then just kind of a terrible spot for Archer. Like, all kidding aside, having to go up against like Muncy, Bellinger, Seager, Peterson, already a guy who gives up a lot of hard contact. And yeah, it just seems like Dodger stacks all over the place for me.
The fact that you started that list of names with Muncy is disgusting.
Oh, I had to do that.
I didn't get to any Dodgers. I got to actually a little bit more of the Pirates, especially on DraftKings. Tucker, Cabrera, Polanco. No real love for the Dodgers for me.
Why not?
I don't know. Normally I get a lot more Jock. He grades out well all the time. I got 1% on FanDuel, none on DraftKings. No Bellinger. Clearly no Muncy. Yeah, I don't need to target against Archer in this spot. I'm an Archer guy.
The Archer's been fine. I think he is. Yeah, he's a fine pitcher. Like, I mean, even a very good pitcher sometimes. But when he's not getting strikeouts, he's another one of those guys. Maybe like in the Robby Ray category, although those guys are quite different. But 36% hard contact to lefties this season. It's basically on par from last season, start of 2018, 39% hard contact against lefties. He's striking them out at a really good rate this season in a short sample, but these guys don't really strike out, and they all have a ton of power. So at least the guys at the top don't really strike out.
Yeah, not a ton of Ks in this game to be found either side, really.
Yeah. So I'm very much on the Dodgers stack. 4.3 implied total is not going to make them heavily chalky. I'm seeing Muncy at 1% owned, and that's just ridiculous. That should never happen.
Well, yeah, I know. It should be 0. Who's out there rostering Max Muncy? Clowns.
Well, he may or may not be my my dong pick for tonight.
Oh, cool. It makes me feel better about cheering against him today.
I'll get a triple dong from Muncy and be right back in the running.
If you get a triple dong from Muncy, I might not make it through the weekend.
I was just going to say, what would happen to you?
Nothing good. Mariners and Rangers. 4.8 run implied total for the Mariners, 3.8 for the Rangers, 61% chance to win for Seattle. Yusei Kikuchi is the starter. He's going like an inning or two at best. They are going to be limiting him like once a month. And I believe they're going to Sheffield afterwards for the bulk of the innings. Shelby Miller going for Texas. Shout out to Shelmy Miller. Kudos to Laffy for that one. There's no pitching that I think is rosterable here.
Yeah, I mean, no thanks on Shelby Miller for me. Yeah. Is this right? The Mariners aren't even very heavily owned?
Yeah, because they're stupid expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive, but if you're not going to 2 stud pitchers, if you're just going to one of them and you're kind of punting, you're going to be able to afford a bunch of these guys. So I will try to find a way to spend up for them. And I think they're going to grade out very well for me once I factor in their ownership, if it sticks even close to.
They're a terrible team. They're an impossible team to stack, basically, on DraftKings. Outfield, first base, and then first base, outfield for Bruce.
Yeah,
they're expensive and they're dumb.
You can get 3-mans out of them, though. I mean,
yeah, they're just they're a really hard team to stack up 1 to 5 if you want to, because you have to start taking like some of the garbage at the bottom.
Yeah, that's true.
No one with more own. Edwin Encarnacion has 4% ownership. The rest of the team either has 1 or 0.
I mean, yeah, I rarely go 1 through 5 anyways, though. So
I meant just in terms of having 5 guys, not like 1 to 5 proper. I probably said that poorly. Yeah, I didn't really get to any Mariners. I thought that I would get to a little bit on FanDuel. I got to them last night. They're a little bit easier because you can play 2 first basemen, so you can get to Encarnacion and Vogelbach in the same lineup. But as much as I want to get them and as much as I hate Shelby Miller, I don't anticipate getting to much from Seattle, at least not as of right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Rangers bats didn't really pop up for me. A little bit of DeShields. That's pretty much it. Hunter Pence grades out okay. I certainly don't need to prioritize anything from Texas. They should be no more than 1 or 2% owned for me.
I just hate attacking these bullpen games. I absolutely despise, even if it's a bad bullpen. Like there are some exceptions, but I'd rather not in a bad hitter's park. It's not like it's super hot here or anything. Like, no thanks.
1 game to go. You ready to close this out?
Let's do it.
This late night pitching hammer is going to be very, very interesting. 3-run implied total for the Giants, 3.4 for the Yankees. It's a 55% chance to win for the Yanks. Madison Bumgardner going for San Francisco. James Paxton going for New York. Paxton looking fantastic, in my opinion. He's my third favorite starter of the day. He would normally be first with this sort of profile. I anticipate he ends up being second once Degrom is launched off of this slate. It does not get much better than this. The Giants' offense isn't great. They're playing in San Francisco, a fantastic pitcher's park. I like Paxton quite a bit. I like Bumgardner a little too. I mean, I'm not going to get to any sort of volume here, but Paxton is the clear star.
Yeah, I think Paxton, just a very obvious play here, especially like you said, once Degrom gets kicked off the slate, like we were assuming he does. I'm just not a big Bumgardner guy. I mean, he's getting strikeouts and he's getting swinging strikes and chases and stuff like that, but he is still allowing a lot of quality contact. And your boy Unavoidable is actually grading out really, really, really well for me at 1% ownership. So if he's in the lineup, they got Sanchez back. I like Gleiber quite a bit. So I'm going to pick and choose a few Yankees bats against Bumgardner. I'm not going crazy with them. 3.5 implied total is pretty crazy, even for a watered down Yankees lineup. I just don't think it's that awesome of a spot for Bumgardner as far as strikeouts go. And some of these guys have huge power even in that big park. So I'd rather go to a guy like Ryu or someone around this price, or get up to Paxton or something like that, rather than play a bunch of Bumgardner.
Yeah, 13% ownership for Bumgardner. He's 5th right now in ownership, and I assume he'll be 4th once we lose DeGrom. So I'm willing to take my chances again. I don't have him. Let me give that caveat. I got 1% of Bumgardner, 45% of Paxton. I don't mind getting a Bumgardner just because this is not your normal Yankees team. Their weighted runs created plus in the aggregate for this game is slightly below average, 98 only. They don't have the same sort of power. They're like an average strikeout matchup. So if I can get Bumgardner against this Yankees team in San Francisco, I have a little bit of interest. But the real play here for me is James Paxton.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, what in this Giants lineup is worrisome? I mean, I don't have any of these guys.
Tyler Austin on FanDuel is 2K.
Right, and Longoria is just he's been good against lefties his entire career, but he's still not someone that's getting me off of Paxton. Same thing with Buster Posey, I think. I mean, these guys are fine hitters, but Paxton's just a really awesome pitcher, and this is an underprice for him. So,
favorite bat in this entire game?
Favorite bat in this entire game? Unavoidable.
Good answer.
Is that yours?
No. Gary Sanchez for sure.
Okay. Yeah, you could have said Torres. I think any of those three as well.
I mean, if we're talking like across all three sites, it's Sanchez. Tyler Austin, though, is at minimum salary on FanDuel is probably the real answer for me.
Okay.
Just enough. He has enough power that if he really is hitting in the 2-hole against the lefty, even in this crappy park, to get him at minimum salary is going to be valuable on a dollar for dollar basis.
Yeah.
So I've got 300 lineups crunched for DraftKings. I think we could take a look at a lineup or two here.
Sure.
Give me two pitchers.
Let's try Scherzer and Paxton. Let's just see what happens when we do that.
All right, I got 60 of the 300 have those two guys together.
Wow. So 20% of your lineups are Scherzer, Paxton. That's a pretty good start.
It's not bad. All right, I'll sort this by projected. So the number one lineup, and this is really good. This explains why we play a lot of lineups and why baseball lends itself to MMEing. Same two pitchers, I have my top 2 lineups separated by 0.22 fantasy points, and there's not a single overlapped hitter between the two. So the first one has a 5-man Angel stack: Smith, Pujols, Simmons, Trout, Fletcher. A 2-man Zobrist Bryant pairing with Steve Wilkerson as a one-off. The second lineup is a 5-man Tiger stack with a 3-man Mets stack of Nimmo, Cano, and Ramos. 2 different lineups, same 2 pitchers, essentially the same projection, not a single overlapped hitter.
Yeah.
That's why you got to play a bunch of lineups.
Those are very, very sound lineups. I like Rodon, like I said, but hard to argue with Cabrera, Candelario, Castellanos against lefties. And then I like the Mets side of this as well. Nimmo, Cano, Ramos. I really like that lineup, especially.
The third lineup has a 5-man Marlins stack in it with a one-off Nelson Cruz. We get Simmons and we get David Fletcher from the first one, but I mean, that's another very, very similar lineup with a completely different 5-man stack.
Can you do any, let's look at like a twin stack. I know they're priced, or one of these overpriced teams. Let's just see if it may look a little bit better than when you just look at the bats.
Alrighty. Twin stack, you said?
Yeah, there was another team that was really overpriced. Maybe not the Mariners. Oh, the Cardinals. Twins or Cardinals?
All right, I have Twins here. I got a bunch of them. Lots of Scherzer, Degrom. The first 2 are Scherzer, Degrom, which is fine. I mean, you can just make Degrom, Paxton, and it's the same lineup. So I'm not really worried about that. 5-man Twins: Castro, Crone, Marwin Gonzalez, Cruz, and Kepler. We're doubling up on Castros here. Starlin Castro, Miguel Rojas, and a 2-man Marlins stack with a one-off Albert Almora. Or we go with a 3-man Giant stack of Posey, Crawford, Tyler, Austin.
A lot of leverage there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean,
we got a Degrom Ryu lineup here. I'm trying to see if there's any that don't have one of the major payout pitchers, but I'd be shocked if that were the case.
So
Paxton Rodon, 5-man twin stack with a 3-man Padres stack. That's different. I mean, it's Margot, Machado, and Kinsler, so like I'm not too upset about it. But
so I'm seeing one on delay here: Scherzer, Michaelis, Cron, Scope, Cruz, Kepler, Sogard, Vlad Guerrero, McKinney.
Yeah,
that one looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe you swap out Michaelis and just go with Martin Perez. If you're already 5-man stacking the Twins, you're expecting an outlier performance. So you would think Perez would be able to go 5. Hopefully go 5 and get you the win. So I don't have a problem with correlating like a cheap pitcher with your 5-man stack, even 4-man stack.
Sure. Give me one more team that we could take a look at.
You get any Cardinals or no?
One.
Let's see it.
It's Scherzer and Skaggs, Molina, Goldschmidt, Carpenter, Fowler, Harrison, Bader, with a 3-man A's stack of Profar, Semien, and Grossman.
Not pretty. I'm sure you could make that better at somehow. Maybe you go like 5-2-1 or something. But yeah, gonna have to get creative with my Cardinals stack because I mean your Bader at the end you don't really love, but and same thing with like that A's stack. Didn't sound great, but I'm sure I'll come up with somebody like Dodgers. We should look at the Dodgers quick, see how much Muncy makes that lineup look good.
Is Josh eating humble pie for Tyler Wade's performance?
What?
Went 1 for 4. And not with a home run.
What do you do?
He went 1 for 4 and had a walk. What do you have, like 8 fantasy points? What crow am I going to be eating? Am I looking at the wrong Tyler Wade?
I don't know.
Did he do anything of value yesterday outside of a hit? 1 for 4. No, 1 for 3 with a walk.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll if I'm eating crow for that one, I assume crow is delicious.
If we had to eat crow on every hitter we said was bad that scored a few points.
He had 70. Oh, he had 2 stolen bases. Okay. Not in the FanGraphs box score. I don't know why.
I mean, okay, but still.
Yeah, I'm not going to eat any crow for that one. Let's just be clear here.
There's players that aren't in great spots that do well every night. Yeah. So
he had a fine game. Certainly not the value play of the day.
Is that what he was being called?
I got told that he was the value play of the day on Live Before Lock last night.
I
did have one lineup with him on DraftKings. I said if I won with that lineup, I was just going to take the winnings and go burn it in front of that guy's house. Just in singles. Josh doesn't eat humble pie. No, he certainly doesn't. Do I seem humble in any way, shape, or form? I am, though, for real. I mean, I understand that I've got a really dope situation going on right here that I don't want it to go anywhere.
Right, exactly.
And we talk about 150 guys a day, every day for every day. So I don't have time to take victory laps or take the beatings. It's just going to happen every day. It just gets old.
It would just be an endless cycle.
Yeah.
Every single show. Oh, we were wrong on this guy. Oh, but we were right on this guy.
Yeah, it's
you shouldn't have a lot of very super, super concrete takes. I am fading this guy. I am playing this guy. Especially when you're playing 150, if you're playing it correctly in MLB.
I want to look at one more lineup here, but I think we're probably good. Hit that like button on the way out the door, everybody. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off. Shout out to Yahoo Sports. I'll drop the link in chat once again. But if you're looking to sign up for Yahoo, fantastic site. Please do that through this link. That is very helpful for us. Oh, nails it. Cantor 33, Kanye West quote, because my life is dope and I do dope shit. It's one of my favorite quotes. If I could go back in time and make that my yearbook quote, it probably would be. That was his quote while watching unaired Dave Chappelle sketches. He got a phone call during it, and they were asking him to do something, and he was like, I can't. I'm watching sketches. Dave Chappelle. Nobody's ever seen them before. And he paused, and the next line out of his mouth was, because my life is dope, and I do dope shit. And he just hung up the phone.
Well.
That's a gangster way to answer the phone and have a conversation with someone. And this was in 2004. Very much pre-Kanye going absolutely bonkers. Just a producer, essentially, at the time. Anyway, Awesome Odds betting show coming up in about a half hour. Around 11:30, that'll be Jordan and Ben talking NBA playoffs and Kentucky Derby, probably the NFL draft, Game of Thrones, evidently. So we'll see where that goes. And then right after that, I'll be back walking everyone through the Yahoo slate, taking a look position by position, building out a lineup, running some Yahoo crunches, the whole nine. We'll look at some of the contests they have as well. Deep dive from Lofty will be out in the early afternoon. Deeper dive, myself and Lofty, I believe. I think I'm covering that one for Adam while he is in Nashville. That'll be myself and Lofty, and then Jake and Chris, live before lock, 6 to 7. The big one, too. Lots to talk about.
No kidding.
I'll come in to troll your Max Muncy pick.
All right. Sounds good.
All righty. And Jake, what time are you doing hockey?
4 Eastern. That's 3 my time. We'll be talking about last night's game, talk about tonight, which contests maybe are looking good. And
Who plays today?
It is the Avs and the Sharks. That's going to be probably a really fun series. Should be high scoring. And then Carolina Islanders were more of a defensive battle, it would seem. But, they both had the same total tonight, so you never really know. Playoff hockey, anything can happen.
There you go. Best of luck, everybody. Thank you for joining us. 15 games up, 15 games down, 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 30 seconds. This is not your normal me and Lofty show, that's for sure. Best of luck, everybody. We're out of here.